The soundtrack of your life. The soundtrack of your life comes through movies. We watch movies and they have amazing soundtracks and music through them. But the question is, what is your Rushmore soundtracks of all time? It's a different one, Tommy. It's a hard one. It's a lot of great soundtracks.
We got to make sure that, we're in key for this one. We're getting very musical with it. I can't wait to dive into some of these great soundtracks. But before we do that, make sure you go hit that subscribe button for us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
very important. I listen, D, I mean, we got to jump right in, and you might as well take this first draft pick. You might as well come up, because I don't think there's going to be much crossover here, but I'm curious of what your first Rushmore soundtrack is.
Man, this soundtrack, this movie, I used to listen to the soundtrack every morning before I go to school, man. And I think we discussed this one time, and it was came out in 91. It was right when we started having a lot of gangster films and stuff like that started coming out on the scene. So I got to go with Juice, man. Juice. Eric B. Rakim, Big Daddy Kane.
Gotta know the ledge.
Know the ledge, bro. I wore that tape out. That was when we had tapes, bro. Wore that fucking tape out, man. So yeah, a lot of great tracks on that, man.
What a great tape that is. Know the Ledge, Rakim, one of his greatest tracks, just the whole soundtrack. And then what's great too, a great movie with a great soundtrack, right? The soundtrack matches the movie. Ernest Dickerson did an incredible job with that film. I did a movie with him. One of my first big movies. Ernest directed Juice. He's Spike's cinematographer, and then he did this film that I did, and I was super hyped about it. All right, I'm going to come right out just because it's so popular. It's become even more popular. Tommy, you're going to know it because you're right up there with this, and that's Top Gun. I mean, Top Gun is an iconic soundtrack. I mean, Kenny Loggins crushing it. The theme, we talk about so much in the show, like Jaws in the water and what, this does for this. Top Gun, what it did, not just for flight, but what it did for Kenny Loggins, the music and that soundtrack. You hear that wherever you are. You hear that theme song, Top Gun. And then obviously with the new one, Maverick, coming out, we just got pumped right back up.
He's got the need for speed.
Oh my goodness. And just like every time that music, and it would always simmer throughout the movie. It would come back up, that theme, and then come back down, come back up. And then obviously the great piano scene.
Yeah. And obviously not just the Kenny Loggins track, like you're saying, like that moment when he's throwing the dog tags into the water. That's everything. Just great epic score.
Yeah. How about this? Berlin, Take My Breath Away. Come on, man.
Come on.
What are we talking about?
That was the first sex scene that I saw where I was like, ooh, I feel uncomfortable and I don't know why.
And that's young Cruise. So he's not he's not in full control. So that soundtrack is Tony Scott, right?
Tony Scott, baby.
Tony Scott directed the first Top Gun. Like that, whoever was doing the soundtrack at that time, came up with that. Cruise has no part of that. They're just that's them putting that movie together, and it becomes what it becomes. Incredible. So, Tommy, what do you got?
Very nice pick. Very nice pick. This is a really tough topic, man. I rack my brains on this one. But I'm gonna have to go out with kind of a one that might shock you. But to me, man, this soundtrack is just so deep from top to bottom. I'm going to go with Dirty Dancing.
I love that call.
Great.
My God.
Time of my life.
That's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot of people's.
What a great call, man. I love that call, man. Otis Redding?
Thanks, guys.
Come on, man.
No.
Otis Redding?
Yeah. No, that's a top. And again, the music is the movie. The movie has music throughout it. It's all big parts of their big scenes.
They're not just dancing. It's dirty dancing.
Dirty dancing. And it's,
that was a phenomenon too, man. And like you said, the soundtrack went with the movie when it released, and you had the VHS and you also had the tape.
Come
Like,
on.
I love that
I was
call,
in
man.
grade school. I was in elementary school, and I'm going to the dance with Time of Your Life playing. People are dancing to it. It's playing at graduations. It becomes a thing, like kind of like a Boys to Men song, where it becomes like End of the Road, where they're playing Time of My Life at all the weddings, at all the
An
graduations.
event standby. A
It's-
standby.
Yeah.
You know what's cool about that?
Amazing.
One last thing on that too, like that's a period soundtrack where a lot of the songs are of the period, but you also get your 80s vibes with the Time of My Life and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I love that call, man. That's a really good.
That's gonna be on a lot of people's list.
You know what?
Great
And I'm
one.
gonna follow
Thank you,
for my
guys.
second one. I'm gonna follow up that type of that genre, the 60s and the 50s genre. And I'm gonna follow it up with the Big Chill.
Oh, my wife just said that. That's so funny. I told her what we would do.
know-
She goes, the best soundtrack of all time, The Big Chill.
The Big Chill, bro.
No
the Big
kidding.
Chill, man.
I gotta
It's
check that one
phenomenal.
out. I don't know that one. I'm gonna
Great
check that out.
movie.
Put it on my
Me
list.
neither. Me too.
You've never
the
seen
movie.
it?
List.
No.
Uh-huh.
I've seen the film, but I didn't register the soundtrack. So when I was talking to my wife
Man.
before, I said, we're doing soundtrack. She goes, The Big Chill. And I go, really? And she goes, you got to understand, my parents gave me the soundtrack to The Big Chill, and I hadn't seen the movie. So I was listening to the soundtrack, and then eventually I saw the movie. She goes, the soundtrack's phenomenal.
All the classics, man. All the classics, dude. From like,
Amazing.
the Motown, all the Motown stuff, man. I mean, you can never go wrong with Motown, bro. Never.
I'm going to go right away into it just because it obviously one of the greatest films ever made, makes the film. All the songs are a standout. You hear them now, and it is these iconic songs are now songs from this film, and that's 1990 Goodfellas. You hear music from Goodfellas,
Nice.
and you don't even think, oh, that's the Stones or that's Cream or that. You think that's Goodfellas. That's the scene in Goodfellas where the bodies are going in the truck, or he's in the meat locker.
Needle drops.
Needle drops.
Layla.
I mean, that is one of the most iconic parts when that kicks in and there's no words yet, and then they're just taking all those bodies down as they're clearing house, and then many others throughout the film. And I just thought his use of music in that was Marty again at all his superpowers. That's like the best that he did in a film, and he's had some great ones.
I agree.
Rags to
You know what? Let me tell you a
riches,
secret, bro.
riches.
I pivoted. I was gonna say that originally, Goodfellas, and I pivoted last minute, dude. So I gotta be honest with you. Such a great call, man.
Such a great call. And it made me aware of soundtracks. Like that was like really when I started becoming aware of like, well, there's another one, but that one was pretty up there for me. Tommy, what do you got?
Well, guys, for this one, I'm going to go, we're kind of going to revisit our animated world, and I'm going to go with The Lion King.
Ooh, great.
Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata up in this bitch. Okay?
Great call.
It's Circle of Life, Elton John.
So good.
I just can't wait to be king.
They won Oscars.
That song, I just can't wait to be king, is adorable. The whole soundtrack's just loaded.
And even the score and like everything about that, so good. What a great pick.
Top to bottom. Great pick.
All right, D, what do you got?
Man, we're moving fast today. We're here at the 9-minute mark, man, and we're already on number 3. You know what? I got to go back to the well on this one. This was on a previous Rushmore. This is easily one of my favorite films of all time, and the score on it is amazing, and it's done by pretty much the GOAT of scores, and that's Hans Zimmer, and that's Interstellar.
Oh man, that always comes
Interstellar.
up. It's such a good one. It's such a good one. And it always, like, people talk about that one a lot. And again, it's a film I have to revisit.
Wasn't that on
visually?
It's Christmas?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, that was on Tearjerkers too. It's a double Rushmore. We got a
Double
Rushmore.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
Apollo. Ring the bell. Yeah.
Yeah. If you get a chance, look on YouTube, man. Hans Zimmer did a concert at Coachella probably about, 8-9 years ago, where he just did the entire set of Inception and Interstellar back to back. It's one of the craziest, best experiences I've ever seen as far as concerts, man. And just putting on a show.
Went live? That's awesome.
No. I watched it on YouTube, but that's how dope it was. I was just blown away. I was like, what? Like what? Like, yeah.
That's awesome.
He's the GOAT, bro.
Yeah, him and John Williams, and yeah, I mean,
Yep.
for me, I'm going following up my third with my child. Again, one of my favorite films ever made. I will stand by this film till the day I die. I'll watch it whenever I'm on the road in a hotel room, just for a multitude of reasons. It's why this person will always have a special place in my heart. But the soundtrack is outrageous, and that's Saturday Night Fever, Bee Gees. I mean, every single track, More Than a Woman, every goes
So
from
good.
fast to slow. He just massacres that movie, and the performance and the dance and the prep. And then the music is always playing throughout, again, kind of like Jaws, it'll just sprinkle in sometimes when he's on the move. And I just absolutely love Saturday Night Fever. And it's one of the first ones I remember. My family had the album, and I was like, oh, isn't that's a movie? But they had the album, and there's, Travolta on the cover and the pose with the, the disco floor behind him.
White suit.
Yeah, the white suit.
Man.
And you're like, and let me tell you something. Again, I don't know how old I was. I definitely single digits. Shouldn't be seeing that movie. Did see the movie multiple times as a kid. Not a movie for a child. But man, that soundtrack, because I used to dance like John Travolta as a kid.
Yeah.
My mom would be like, do what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when they're telling Eddie Murphy to do comedy, I'm sitting there dancing, trying to be John Travolta. And I'm like, 6. I shouldn't be watching that movie. There's some horrible stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
But it's what a phenomenal
Jive
film.
talking, man. Jive talking.
That movie might be. It's one of the obviously the most stylistic movie, one of the most stylistic movies of all time, man. Just everything from the music, the style, the fashion.
Why doesn't that film, let me ask you a question. Why doesn't that film get as much credit as me and a few others think about it? Like, why is it not up there in the pantheon of like great films, where I think it's one of the greatest films ever made?
Well, you remember when they had that whole thing with disco, where they took all the disco records to like a baseball field and blew them up and everything. I think it's because of disco, man. I think it's because of disco.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like to admit that they like disco, but personally, I love disco, man.
What a great time.
Like, I can fucking clean a house with disco on, bro.
Yeah, great. What a great time. Platform
disco.
shoes, polyester and platform shoes. What's the problem?
Also,
Not a care in the world.
Bridge, the scene on the bridge has a really iconic instrumental, which is, I believe, by an artist by the name of Bob James. It's like that really like.
Yeah, he did the Taxi soundtrack.
Yeah, Bob James is the man.
The Taxi. Yeah, and that bridge is my bridge. That's the Staten Island. That's the Verrazano Bridge. So that's my bridge.
Is that what that? No shit.
Oh yeah, that's my bridge.
Did you guys ever fuck around on the bridge as kids, or
No,
is that
you
like
know,
not?
many people have.
But is that something people? Is that something people would do?
Oh yeah.
So crazy.
I've definitely gotten out on that bridge a couple of times, and it's terrifying. But that movie definitely didn't help. A lot of people were, but that was a thing for sure, that people were climbing the bridge and stuff like
Tony, that. Look, I can do it. I can do it.
So good.
Not bad. Not bad.
All right, what do you got, Tommy? This is you're coming in third, coming in hot.
All right, guys. Well, I'd be crazy if I didn't have John Williams somewhere on this list. So I'm going to come right out with it. We're going to a galaxy far, far away. It's going to be a long time ago. I'm going with Star Wars, man. Come on, dude.
It's classic. I love it.
Those first opening trumpet hits.
Come on.
And then the credits come down. Come on, dude. It's just Darth Vader's theme. It's so good. And even just like Leia's theme, and there's like these soft kind of lullabies throughout Yoda. Yeah, like everyone's got a theme. It's so good. I just love it. I love the Star Wars franchise. And John Williams deserves a place on a Rushmore. He could actually, you could have just a Rushmore of all
John Williams. Rushmore.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. So Star Wars, Johnny Williams, put him up there.
I love it, man. I love it. So iconic.
With him. So iconic. And you know what's interesting with that pick? That's just score. There's no song.
Yeah, that's just score. Drops. Yeah, no needle drops.
That's just score. If you're making this list on just score, there's not one line of
lyrics.
No lyrics. That's
what I've said, man. Like John Williams, Hans Zimmer. I mean, those guys. You can throw a few other guys in there too, man. They're on that list of like you know you're gonna get some incredible work, man.
And think
Anytime
about
they're
how the
attached to it.
level you have to level up. Like I have a few that it's just scores that are some of my favorite. I listen to them all the time.
Mhm.
But like, think about how iconic you have to be to like make this list and not have a needle drop on it, not have
Danny
a
Elfman.
Yeah,
it's
Danny
crazy.
Elfman's another one.
Danny Elfman swag.
Crazy.
I like.
All
I
right.
tell you a good. I tell you. Well, we'll save this for the Patreon. So
Yeah,
I'll
save it.
save this next one for the Patreon. But let me. My number 4 would go to 1984. I think this has been on a Rushmore already once, as far as the entertainer, but or lead singer, and that's Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution, man.
Nice.
One of the best. Again, young kid seeing an album and going, "Isn't that a movie?" And like putting it together, and then having the tape, and kind of when Prince took over the world, right? That's when it was the whole took over.
Dearly
How cool
beloved.
he is on that cover. Come on, how
That
cool
was
he
a
is
nice-
on the
That was a nice
motorcycle.
Dearly Beloved right there.
Dearly
Yeah,
beloved.
right.
That was really spot on. But yeah, Theo, that photo is just so iconic.
Oh, he
With the
introduced
big
me to
Honda bike
Prince is
or
a world.
Harley.
Yeah, no,
It
a
looks
Honda.
like
I think it's
he looks
It
like
was
a-
Honda, right?
Police
Yeah.
bike. Yeah, it's a police bike.
Yeah.
Or Kawasaki.
He-
It's a police bike.
He looks like
Yeah,
a
police
comic
bike.
book character. Like it should be a comic book or some shit.
Man,
World
when doves cry, when that hit,
in the bathtub,
bro. Oh man, especially when you were like, I was like 6 when that dropped, man, and like the whole thing was like I was in love with Apollonia, Vanity. We talked about it,
God, we
our
talk
affection
about
for
that all the
Vanity,
time. Woo.
and like, man, I thought I was really seeing something in the music video and stuff when they're like at the lake and everything, and they're like laying down in the grass. I was like, man, that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and then I mean, just every single thing at that point that Prince was doing was now remember, and a lot of people who aren't old enough won't remember. There was this weird thing because Michael Jackson was so took over the world. He was the
Mhm.
biggest pop
Mhm.
star, and Prince felt like rebellious. Like
Yeah.
Prince was like the rebellious one, where you were like, there was that whole thing you like Michael or you like Prince, but it
Mhm.
was like I liked them both, but it just felt like it
Same.
was like Prince was like a little more like gangster, like that was
Yeah.
rebellious. And yet look at the way like Prince was so masculine, but yet the way he was doing his stuff was incredible. It was just, again, it's a world changer. It changed everything in the way you kind of saw things, because even though I had seen like, Rick James before it and people, James Brown, but like the way Prince was doing it was the style, the swag,
The swag,
the look,
yep.
the like, you're just like, man, this
And
guy-
again, he's writing all the music.
everything.
He's playing all
Playing
the
instruments,
instruments.
playing every
He's
instrument.
engineered it. He's the engineer. He's doing everything. So,
Unbelievable.
yeah, man.
I've said this one before. I think on the show where we talk about Prince, but a lot of guitar players consider him the greatest of all time. You know? Just
I'm a
guitar
big
player.
Prince mark. I'm a big
You know,
Prince.
Yeah.
forget it.
And he always had dimes. Always.
Prince's. Whatever.
I would have
Prince is
loved to be a fly on the wall. To be a fly on the wall at Paisley Park.
good. Oh my
5'2", bro. And supposedly, man, and I've seen his pictures, man. He had a
Good
nice
ball.
looking jump shot, bro. He could hoop.
Oh,
Yeah,
he balled.
Yes.
Yeah, he hooped.
Yeah.
He has an
5'2".
NBA
Oh,
size.
good.
He's got a regulation. He had a regulation court at his house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out
Purple Rain.
Prince, man.
Purple Rain is the shit. I gotta go. I have so many that I would say, but this one again, I just think for the pure iconicness of it, maybe it is, because it was during my time. It's also kind of a movie that came out but was set in a different period, so it introduced you to kind of a whole different form of music, and again was one of those ones that at a very young age it was the album, then it was the tape, and that's Grease. I think Grease has so many
Nice.
songs
Mhm.
that like you
Frankie
can't
Valli.
you can't think of Grease without thinking of the soundtrack, right? Like that they're
No.
one and the same. So sometimes you wonder, would the movie be as good if it didn't have that soundtrack, and would the soundtrack be as good if it didn't have that movie, right? And it's like the perfect match of everything. Again, Johnny Travolta just crushing it. And it's Again,
he's
Shout out
singing
John
some of
Travolta, man. I mean,
those.
Saturday Night
This is
Fever, and
this is
then Grease,
becoming
like,
Travolta night, guys. This is quickly
Yeah,
becoming Travolta
I'm
night.
just saying, man.
somebody could say another one that he was in that's one of the best soundtracks ever, but I didn't have time for it. But I'll throw it on the honorable mention.
Travolta's he's actually singing a couple of those songs too. Like on
Yeah,
that
he
soundtrack.
does. He
like
sings
Summer
on it,
Lovin',
too.
like that's him.
Summer Lovin's him. You're the one that I want.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a couple that he's on. Again,
And what's you know which one I really like that's kind of obscure off that Stranded
slow
at the
one.
Drive-In.
Yeah.
Stranded at the Drive-In,
Yeah.
man. That's a
and
fucking
you got the
song
like
right there.
Pepsi and the ketchup dancing.
Stranded at the Drive-In.
So
Man,
good.
I had the biggest crush on Olivia Newton-John, man. She was like
man.
everything to me, bro. Like,
Oh yeah.
get physical and like when
Dude,
she's
that
doing
last
the, like,
scene when she comes out in the blonde with the black,
the
all black
the
outfit,
all black
Sandy,
cat
bro.
suit, like the
She's-
black.
and it's
Sandy.
Whew.
Sandy.
Sandy got her groove back.
What's the
At the
line
end
she
there.
says when she turns to him? She says something to him when she turns, and she just like her
She call him
body's still.
stud. Does she call him
Yeah,
stud?
yeah.
Stud,
something
yeah.
I think
stud.
she's like stud or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's
something
like, whoa.
stud. I'm sure they'll
Something
say it
stud.
in the comments.
Hey, yeah, drop down in the comments.
Drop
What does
that in
Sandy
the
say to
comments.
John
Such a
when
great
she's
line.
all sexy?
Like
in her
something
black
like what's
getup.
happening, stud, or what's going on, stud, or something, and
Mhm.
she's just smoking the cigarette, and like she's in bed, Sandy, and that is like, come on, what year?
Mhm.
What year did that come out? Anybody know? 78.
78,
I'll
I
Find
want to
out right
say.
now.
78, I
We're gonna
want to
put our-
say.
All right. The point.
Yeah, Saturday Night Fever was 77, wasn't it?
You are right on the money, Demetrius.
Yeah.
It is 1978.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
man.
that
What a
so
great
again, I
time.
think that's a movie that I'm way too young for that. So I had to see that later in life, like a few years later. And I
Mhm.
think it was one of those movies that had a run later. I
It
remember
had,
for
it,
sure.
had, it had that
story.
cable run. It had a cable run.
It had a
Cable
cable
first.
run. That's what I heard. It didn't do well in the theater, if I'm correct. And then it kind of had a run later, and then it like had a reemergence in a way
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
on. All right.
Great
Tell me, what do you
call,
got?
man.
Nice
Close it out.
pick. Okay, so this is tough for me. I got two that I'm juggling, but that's why we have honorable mentions. But guys, I could listen to the songs on this soundtrack, and I'm pretty confident, although my body would be destroyed and I would probably die, but I'm pretty confident that when this soundtrack is playing, I could run through a brick wall.
I know.
And that is, to be specific, Rocky IV, the Rocky
Oh, my
IV
God.
soundtrack.
How did I
No
forget
easy
that?
way out.
Okay.
Easy way
You
out.
got, now,
Robert
obviously, you've got your Bill Conti's original Rocky theme, which is
Never.
still on that, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But no easy.
Burning
way out.
Heart,
You've got
Survivor, man.
John
Survivor. Burning
Cafferty
Heart.
is on that. There's just so many great songs that I love, and just the regular score, just like the score when
Man.
he's climbing up the mountain.
That's a
Man,
great call, man.
I play that in the gym all the time when I'm working out.
That
It's on one of my-
soundtrack is killer.
My daughter and I, we listen to it before every soccer game. We put on
Yeah.
well,
Really?
it's a Rocky / Karate Kid soundtrack playlist, and it's
Dude.
got You're the Best. It's
That's
got
awesome.
Eye of the Tiger, and that's our prep
the Best.
music, man.
She must be so
Yeah.
so pumped up by the time.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
game time.
bro.
She must be ready to go.
I'm hyping her up so much, man. So yeah, man,
Oh,
I love
we
that
lost-
call, man.
A great call. When we
Thank
lost
you,
my
brother.
semifinal football game my senior year, it was we had won the state championship the year before, and then senior we lost in the semifinals. And I on repeat with my like Walkman, like the yellow Walkman. I'm
Mhm.
listening to Nepper, No Easy Way Out, like
No Easy Way
and
Out, yeah.
over that. And I'm like in the bathroom, refuse to take my helmet off. Like I'm just like that song, that moment. And first of all, just go back to the scene in the movie. He's in the Lambo. He's got the
Mhm.
sweatsuit on. He's
Mhm.
having the visuals. Now, I know he directed 3, wrote, directed,
Mhm.
produced 3. Did he write, direct, produce 4 as well?
Pretty sure. I'll double.
I think
check
so.
that.
There's a new director's cut, or I think he's
Yeah, I
releasing a new.
saw some
certainly
scenes from the. I saw some deleted scenes from the director's
Yeah,
cut of
it's
4.
supposed to be really cool. You know what I like about
him and Apollo outside. That's not good, but I just watched that.
you know what I like about Rocky IV is that it's very montagey for music and everything like that. There's a lot of montage. It's like the majority of the movie is like really just a gigantic montage, man. The training
Double or
sessions,
nothing.
Apollo Creed getting dying in the ring. It's like
Amazing.
shout out
All
James
right.
Brown, living in America, man.
Living in America.
Oh, amazing! What a great soundtrack.
And
All
he's
right,
coming
ready?
up, and Apollo's on there, man. That's so good.
Honorable
Eye to
mention.
eye.
Honorable
Toe to toe.
mention. D, what do you got? Honorable.
I'm gonna throw a few out here real quick. I gotta go with Heat. Is one of my favorites.
Great score.
A lot of good Moby tracks on there. Dazed and Confused. And
Ooh,
the
that's
Lost
a
Boys.
great sound. Dazed and Confused is great.
Lost
man.
Boys.
I actually got that on mine.
Shall not. Come on. Lost Boys.
So
is
good, bro.
When I was 13 years
So
old,
good.
did you know I would literally, when I was 13 years old, play my guitar? I would just air guitar, but put the whole Dazed and Confused soundtrack on and like pretend I was giving like a concert. That's how good that soundtrack is.
So
It's so good, man.
I'm just gonna throw out a few. One that probably people don't think about, and if you don't, another phenomenal movie that definitely doesn't get its due at all. The soundtrack is incredible, and that's a movie called Legends of the Fall. The score is outrageous in that movie. It's just an incredible score throughout. Just to bring Johnny Travolta back in the fold, Pulp Fiction is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard.
For sure.
It should be in any Rushmore. And we said, I mean, I would have to also, just to piggyback on Rocky IV, the Rocky III soundtracks.
Eye of the Tiger, bro. Come on, man. Say less, bro.
Eye of the Tiger is like that Star Wars theme. You can't beat it. So those are my honorables. What do you got, Tommy? Honorable.
All right. So, I'm going to cut loose. Everybody cut loose. Foot loose.
Great.
Let's hear it for the boy. All right.
Yeah.
I need a hero. God damn it.
That's
what I'm
watch that. I'm gonna watch
That's what I'm talking about. So I love that. I'm also gonna say this is an obscure. Oh, go ahead, Demetrius.
No, I was gonna say it was filmed like 2 miles from my house, man. Footloose.
Oh, really?
No
kidding. Right outside of Salt Lake City.
Is that still a dry county?
No. It's far from that now.
Those days are over.
This is an obscure one. I don't know if you guys remember this movie, but there's a really great 90s movie that I just love called Empire Records.
Yeah, love that movie.
Mid-90s. Empire Records has a great soundtrack, just like sings to that mid-90s. And my final pick, what was it? I don't want to blank on this. I had it. God damn it. I lost it. Oh, wait, no, it's back. I lost it.
Well, that's a perfect way. You lost it. Let's let the people do it in the comments. So listen, you know the deal. Give us your Rushmores in the comments. Like, subscribe, put on the notification bell, share, do everything. But more importantly, give us those Rushmores in the comments and let us know what you're thinking. Right, Tommy? That's the deal.
Yes, that's the deal. We're going to see you on Patreon where we're going to go talk about our least favorite soundtracks and all the garbage that's out there.
There's a lot of garbage.
We'll probably go into a little deeper, a little further into.
Let's go take out the trash on Patreon. Let's continue to show that. All right,
hey, this was fun, guys.
Get out of here.